Welcome back to this monetary policy discussion. The minutes of the Reserve Bank MPC, like we have been saying, clearly indicate that all members have become cautious. But the overall mood is that let us watch for more data. One standout difference in these minutes is that all the external members are referring to the rupee, the current account deficit, etc. But RBI members are completely silent on rupee and the external front. Well, another point is that the most dovish stance in the minutes came from external member Professor Ram Singh, who has called for a dovish pause. But he too has changed his stance from earlier accommodative to neutral, which indicates that he also has taken a slightly hawkish tilt. Well, Professor Ram Singh is our guest right now, and he joins me to discuss the minutes and the state of the economy. Professor Singh, good morning, and thank you very much indeed for your time. Well, for starters, isn't it a bit bold to say dovish pause when you can see that, you know, there are upside risks to inflation and downside risks to the currency?
Thank you, Latha, for having me on this program. Let me start by wishing you a very good morning and the viewers. Also adding that the views I express in this program are my views. Okay. They are not views of the MPC or the Delhi School of Economics where I work. With these caveats, clarifications, as you have stated yourself, that I have argued for a dovish pause. At the same time, I have also changed my position, my stand on the stance. So I have also become more cautious. Everything considered, I agree with your assessment that my tone and my views are dovish. These views are justified, in my view, given the data that we have today. It is true that there is an upward pressure on inflation, and also there is a downward pressure, downside risk on growth have materialized to a limited extent. But the economy on inflationary front and also growth front remain in a comfortable zone at the moment. Inflation remains well within the tolerance limit of the mandate for MPC. Growth has taken a hit with respect to past performance. Growth even today does not look bad, but the growth, when I say that growth has taken a hit, it is more with respect to the potential growth rather than the numbers that are being forecast and the numbers that I go with.
Okay. So, you know, I'll come back to the dovish pause sentence of yours, but I just wanted to ask this. You have a sentence saying, as per my assessment, growth forecast is lower by 50 to 60 basis as of now, due to the West Asia conflict. So are you saying that even the 6.9 is difficult?
No. 6.9 is after factoring in the...
So from 7.6, okay, from 7.6, the bringing down to 6.9 is your 50 to 60 basis point worry. Is that right?
Absent West Asia crisis, conflict, I would have expected 7.5 or upward growth rate.
Fair enough.
This number is also justified if you look at new series data on growth last 4 years. Okay. Out of last 4 years, for 2 years, we have grown upward of 7.45. Okay. And in all 5 years, all 4 years for which we have data, we have grown more than 7%. And also, please note that we have achieved this growth rate at a very benign inflation rate. Okay. So this suggests that at the growth rate that we have experienced during last 2, 3, 4 years was a growth rate without much of heating of the economy. So that indicates that there's a potential to grow faster. Without hitting the economy.
Got it. So
the share crisis has changed things a little bit, yes.
Okay. Now, let me come to another statement which really stood out. You said that I am going for a dovish pause, while it is true that this dovish pause is not going to help on the external front, given the falling rupee. Now, was this discussed in the MPC also? The same doubt that occurs to you, that if I look very dovish, am I endangering the currency? Was that a point of discussion?
So in MPC, we discuss all issues that are relevant for the economy, from unemployment to exchange rates to everything. Our mandate is to make our arguments and be guided by inflation data and growth data.
Okay.
But by way of discussion, we discuss each and every issue that is relevant for Indian economy.
Okay. So you
the views that are there in my statement are my views.
Of course, of course. But do you worry that, if the Reserve Bank pours so much liquidity, even now, the repo rate, the call rate is at the lower end of the corridor, closer to 5% and not at 5.25%. Is there a fear that this dovishness signified or reflected by the liquidity and the dovishness in your tone can be negative for the currency? Is that a thought?
So, so let me elaborate on what I mean.
Okay.
As far as the liquidity position is concerned, Honorable Governor RBI has made it amply clear that RBI will take good care to ensure that ample liquidity is available in the system all the time. My dovish pause is also in the same spirit. It is more of a signal that as of today, given by whatever information data we have, as of today, there is no reason for us to think of increasing interest rates. It should be seen in that spirit. Okay. When I say that a dovish pause will not help, is unlikely to help on the external front, on exchange rate, it is a statement that is true in ceteris paribus sense.
Okay.
If we have a dovish pause when the inflationary outlooks are becoming somewhat cautious or alarming for some parts of the world, not for us but for other countries, in that situation, we can expect that perhaps that many central banks would be thinking of either a pause or maybe an increase in interest rates. So the interest rate differential advantage we will not have, and we will not be signaling that we will have interest rate differential advantages. So you should look at my statement from that point of view. Yeah. At the same time, I would like to say that we have several other advantages even on the external front, even on the capital account, current account, capital account fronts. And everything considered today, there's no sense. I am not alarmed at all.
Okay. So, now we have 20 days from the day you wrote your minutes on April 8th. Well, not quite 20 days, but 2 weeks. The war has persisted. Crude prices remain in 3 digits, $102. Are you getting a sense that things have worsened? You are making a statement that our Goldilocks scenario has now pushed to the opposite extreme. That's your first sentence of your minutes. Has it just gotten even worse? Because the war is not as yet showing any sign of ending. At least the Strait of Hormuz is not showing any sign of opening up. So do you think we are worse off in growth and we need to lower growth forecasts and increase inflation forecasts in due course?
So with every passing day, this conflict persists. It is going to be making things worse for the entire world. For us also, it's not going to be of any help. At the same time, the alarming signals are not there for Indian economy. Government has done a very good job of controlling prices, retail prices of petrol, diesel, LPG. It also has done a great deal of restoring supply to commercial sector of gas and fuel products. So as a result, because first order effects have been moderated, mitigated, we are not seeing any second order effects. Unless we see there are second order effects, I will not be alarmed for Indian economy.
Okay.
I would also like to add that it is also a crisis that we are turning into an opportunity.
Okay.
This is happening at the government level and also at the household level. At household level, now we see greater use of induction. So substitution of energy mix is already happening.
Yes.
This is something we need very much. Our energy mix at household is suboptimum, whether we compare it to US, we compare it to China. We need to consume more of electricity. Our energy consumption need to be more in the form of electricity. And this gives us a good nudge. Let me also add, Latha, that we have a capacity to accommodate this nudge coming from commercial and household sectors. Because our total installed capacity, especially in renewables, is more than what we are consuming today.
Okay.
So we can afford to produce more power with a healthy mix.
Yeah.
So together it will be...
No, I take your point. I take your point that India has not been hit on mobility or on power as much as some other countries which are based on gas-based power have been hit. We are, to that extent...
And let me also add, Latha, here one more crucial point. It is not in interest of anybody, including parties involved in this conflict, to prolong this conflict. Because it is hurting every single player who is involved or not involved. Every single country is being adversely affected.
Okay.
So it is therefore my hope that this conflict will be resolved sooner rather than later. Once that happens, you see, with respect to petrol, with respect to West Asia crisis, we have been focusing primarily on crude, but not on other products that are downstream products.
Okay.
We have advantage. We have advantage, twofold advantage. One is our refining capacity. It's significant proportion. We are net exporters there.
That's right.
And other is that the Gulf refining capacity has taken a hit.
Yeah.
So this will help us mitigate second order effects also.
No, I take your point, sir. Unfortunately, out of time, we can't continue the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us in this Monetary Policy Special. After a break...
So it was a pleasure, Latha. Thank you. Thank you so much.